Timing is everything. First off, I just want to take some time to thank y'all for all the love and support you have been giving me. I appreciate it, and to reach 1,000 subscribers this quick, I could have never imagined, and I really appreciate y'all for that. So thank you. I read all the comments, whether it's love or critique. I take it all in and try and be better. With all of that said, I've seen the comments that I'm slept on. And with those comments, that helped me think of today's video. What was some of the best individual seasons that didn't get an MVP for it? Now, asking for the timeline of these events, I'm gonna go with the post-steroid era, and a lot of people synonymously tie Barry Bonds to the steroid era, and his last year winning MVP was 2004. So the research and information for this video stems from 2005 and on, just for context. So I'm gonna give you the top 10 seasons of players that did not win MVP. And if you do enjoy the content analysis that Paint the Black Baseball brings, maybe you can give me a like and subscribe. But with all of that said, let's get into this list of the best seasons that were not crowned MVP. Now, you know, with Paint the Black Baseball, I'm always gonna give you a little bit more than the top 10. For this list, I have 14 players, and that's because some people ended up tying, so I wanted to include them as well. And for the parameters of this video, I took these players' Baseball Reference WAR and their Fangraphs WAR, added those two up and divided them to get the WAR that I counted for this video. If you want to know the ins and outs of the differences between Fangraphs WAR and Baseball References WAR, you can look it up, but that doesn't really pertain to my video, so I'm not going to elaborate on the key differences. Also, keep in mind at that time, MVP voting didn't value WAR as much as they do today. So also have that context in mind when we're looking at these lists. So coming in at 11th place, or an honorable mention, we have Jose Bautista's 2011 season, we have Albert Pujols' 2007 season, and we have Chase Utley's 2009 season. All three of these seasons graded out to an 8.2 WAR. I'm gonna go in alphabetical order for this one, so we're gonna take a look at Jose Bautista first. He accumulated 8.3 Baseball Reference WAR and an 8.1 Fangraphs WAR. But if we take a look at Jose Bautista's 2011 season, he had 43 home runs. He walked more than he struck out. He had a WRC plus of 180, and that was with him being a bad defender. He was able to accumulate 8.1 WAR. He had a 447 on base. He was truly an elite hitter. Jose Bautista picked the wrong year to hit like this because Justin Verlander literally put on a show. He won MVP and Cy Young. His WAR was 8.6. Now, if we're going into the should a pitcher win it versus a hitter for MVP, that's up to y'all. I'm just saying, Jose Bautista definitely warranted MVP. He just picked the wrong year to do it. Next up, we have Albert Pujols, who accumulated 8.7 B WAR and a 7.7 F WAR in 2007, which averaged out to 8.2. We take a look at his numbers in 2007. He had 32 home runs. He walked more than he struck out. He had a WRC plus 155 and with an on base of 429. He really did his thing. And this is one of those ones where they got the MVP completely wrong, because the MVP they did give in 2007, as we know Albert Pujols was in the NL at that time, was Jimmy Rollins, and he only accumulated a 6.1 WAR. While Jimmy Rollins was good, this is definitely one where Albert Pujols should have clearly won. He was the best hitter. As far as Albert Pujols, he didn't pick the wrong year to hit. The voters just was not fucking with him for some reason, because he definitely deserved MVP, and for him to finish 9th place is a complete joke. And last of the 11th place, or honorable mention, we have Chase Utley, 2009 season, who accumulated an 8.2 B WAR and an 8.2 F WAR. In 2009, he had 31 home runs, a WRC plus of 141, near 400 on base. And if you didn't know, Chase Utley in his prime was a truly elite defender, so he brought that as well. As far as the person that actually won the 2009 NL MVP, Albert Pujols did deserve it over Chase Utley, as Albert Pujols had a 9.7 WAR season. Chase Utley just picked the wrong year to have his season. So now that we're done with the honorable mentions, we are moving into the top 10. But at 10, we have the last tie, and this tie is Mookie Betts' 2023 season and Albert Pujols' 2006 season. Both of these players accumulated an 8.3 WAR, and I'm gonna go in alphabetical order, so let's take a look at Mookie Betts. He accumulated 8.3 Baseball Reference WAR and an 8.3 Fangraphs WAR, and as this MVP was just fresh, this one went neck to neck to the end. Mookie Betts was a better defender, so he accumulated more WAR, but Ronald Acuna Jr. did something that's never been done before. He hit 41 home runs and stole 73 bases. There is no way they weren't going to give give him that MVP. Mookie Betts just picked the wrong year to hit like that, because majority of the years Mookie Betts is going to win MVP. If you take a look at the stats, he had 39 home runs. He hit 307. While this may not be his best defensive year, he still was a better defender than Ronald Acuna. He had 167 WRC plus. He was a good base runner. Mookie Betts did everything. He just picked a year where Ronald Acuna did something that has never been done before. Now, as far as Albert Pujols' 2006 season, Albert Pujols accumulated an 8.5 B WAR and an 8.1 F WAR, which averaged out to 8.3. In 2006, he hit 49 home runs. He walked more than he struck out. He hit 331, 431 on base, 174 WRC plus. Him not winning MVP this year was also another complete joke, as they gave it to Ryan Howard, who had 58 home runs. Ryan Howard only accumulated a 5.2 WAR. And the only reason they gave this MVP to Ryan Howard instead of Albert Pujols is because he hit more home runs. But Albert Pujols was the better all-around hitter, and he definitely didn't strike out as much as Ryan Howard did. But this was the old baseball where home run was king, so that's why he won it. Albert Pujols definitely deserved this MVP. And as far as the voting, at least Albert Pujols finished second and not ninth like last time I talked about him. Coming in at ninth place, we have David Wright's 2007 season, where he accumulated an 8.3 baseball reference WAR and an 8.4 Fangraph WAR for an average of 8.35. If we take a look at his 2007 season, he hit 30 home runs, he hit 325, a WRC plus of 151. He was a great defender. He had an on base of 416. He had 34 stolen bases. David Wright was a complete five-tool player this season. He was truly remarkable. And as we've already talked about the 2007 season, Jimmy Rollins won MVP. So between David Wright and Albert Pujols, David Wright finished fourth in voting. In all honesty, he should have finished second. This MVP belongs to Albert Pujols. They got it wrong. It's another one of those David Wright picked the wrong year to hit like this. But this wins MVP most years, just not this year. Coming in at 8th place, we have Aaron Judge's 2017 season, where he accumulated 8.0 B WAR and an 8.8 F WAR for an average of 8.4. In 2017, this was his rookie year. He hit 52 home runs. While he did strike out quite a bit, he had a WRC plus of 174. He wasn't a negative defender. He didn't add anything as far as base running, but Aaron Judge was legit and he put himself on the scene. This is one of those years where it was a competitive MVP between Aaron Judge and Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve ended up winning. Well, knowing what we know now, and the Astros had the trash can incident, this definitely should have been Aaron Judge's MVP. But I also am not going to be mad at them for giving it to a player that hit 346 and had over 200 hits. Aaron Judge was just a bit better, but I'm not going to fault the voters for this one. It could have gone either way. Coming in at 7th place, we have Alex Bregman's 2019 season. Alex Bregman accumulated 8.9 B WAR and an 8.2 F WAR for an average of 8.55. In this season, he had 41 home runs. He walked more than he struck out. He had an on base of 423. The only thing he wasn't good at was base running, but he even had 167 WRC plus. Alex Bregman did everything this season. He was really good. With 2019 voting, they gave it to Mike Trout over Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman did accumulate more WAR than Trout, but that's because he appeared in 22 more games. When Trout did play, he was phenomenal. Mike Trout out-homered him, and he had an OPS of 1,083, so I don't blame them for giving Mike Trout this MVP. It was another example of it was the wrong year to hit that well if he wanted to win MVP with it. But this is easily MVP caliber season. In 6th place, we have Chase Utley's 2008 season, where he accumulated a 9.0 B WAR and an 8.2 F WAR for an average of 8.6. If we take a look at Chase Utley's 2008 season, he had 33 home runs, hit 292, WRC plus of 134. This was easily Chase Utley's best defensive year ever. As you look at his defensive value, 21.8 is truly ridiculous. Chase Utley finished 14th in voting, and Albert Pujols was the actual MVP winner. I am not going to be mad at the voters for this, because a lot of Chase Utley's value this year was tied to his defense, and they weren't really factoring defense in the MVP voting like they would now if it's a deciding factor. So I don't blame them for not choosing Chase Utley, and Albert Pujols did just have an overall better year. But definitely a great year. It was just carried a little bit more defensively than the other ones on this list. So I have no issue with him not being MVP. Coming in at 5th place, we have Ben Zobrist's 2009 season, where he accumulated 8.6 B WAR and an 8.7 F WAR for 8.65 average. In 2009, Ben Zobrist hit 27 home runs. He had a 405 on base. He had 152 WRC plus. He was a great base runner, great offensively, elite defensively as well. This was the definition of a 5-tool player year. And if you don't know about Ben Zobrist was capable of playing anywhere in the diamond except catcher. So Ben Zobrist was just a special player and ahead of his time as far as voting for MVP. Because if you do take a look at the MVP voting, Ben Zobrist finished 8th when you can argue at worst he should have finished 2nd. This was the year where Joe Mauer hit out of his mind and finally had some power with his batting average. I don't think they weren't going to give it to Joe Mauer, but Ben Zobrist definitely deserved MVP recognition and should have been higher on the list. But I'm also not going to fault them for giving it to Joe Mauer because Joe Mauer was crazy this season. Coming in at 4th place, we have Mookie Betts' 2016 season, where he accumulated 9.5 B WAR and an 8.2 F WAR for an average of 8.85. In 2016, Mookie Betts had 31 home runs, 26 stolen bases. He batted .318, a WRC plus of 136. So he was the definition of a 5-tool player this year. There was no parts of his game that was lacking. And the only reason Mookie Betts did not win MVP is because he was going against Mike Trout in his prime. And Mike Trout in his prime accumulated a 10.5 WAR. He had an on base of 441. Mookie Betts just didn't have a chance because it was against Mike Trout. But if this was any other year, Mookie Betts was winning MVP. Coming in at 3rd place, we have Jacoby Ellsbury's 2011 season, where he accumulated an 8.3 B WAR and a 9.5 F WAR for 8.9 average. I don't know what got into Jacoby Ellsbury this year, but he went fucking crazy. He hit 32 home runs this season and his second highest total is 16. It just goes to show he was completely crazy this year. He had 39 stolen bases. He had a WRC plus of 150. The best way of putting it, Jacoby Ellsbury was just hitting out of his fucking mind this season. And we talked about the 2011 MVP voting with Jose Bautista. Jacoby Ellsbury finished 2nd. Justin Verlander pitched a triple crown, so I understand giving him MVP, but man, Jacoby Ellsbury definitely deserved the MVP for this season. He was phenomenal, especially given the fact that this was the only year he ever hit like this. It sucks, but it is what it is. Now, coming in 2nd on my list, we have Shohei Ohtani's 2022 season, where he accumulated a 9.6 B WAR and a 9.4 F WAR for a 9.5 average. We all know Aaron Judge broke the AL home run record this year and truly had an outstanding season as he outwarred a guy that pitched and hit. Shohei Ohtani is going to be winning a lot of MVPs, but this is one that Aaron Judge actually deserved to take from him. And if you didn't know, Shohei Ohtani finished 2nd for the MVP voting. It just goes to show how truly good Aaron Judge was that year, to be able to outwar a person that's pitching and hitting. If we take a look at Ohtani's 2022 hitting season, he had 142 WRC plus. He accumulated a 3.8 WAR, but as we now know in the present, Ohtani's gotten even better as a hitter, so he's always been a big presence there. And in 2022, it's been Shohei Ohtani's best pitching season as he accumulated 5.6 WAR as a pitcher, had an 11.87 K rate, his home run rate was below 1, and with a FIP of 2.40. With Ohtani having all of those numbers and Aaron Judge was still able to outperform that, you just have to tip your cap to a season like that. So last on my list, and this is pretty funny because it's 4 times this person has been snubbed for MVP. If you don't know who I'm talking about by now, I am talking about Mike Trout. I'm talking about his 2015 season where he had a 9.6 B WAR and a 9.3 F WAR for a 9.45 average. I'm talking about his 2013 season where he accumulated 8.9 B WAR and a 10.2 F WAR for a 9.55 average. I'm talking about his 2018 season where he accumulated a 9.9 B WAR and a 9.5 F WAR for a 9.7 average. And I'm talking about his 2012 season where he had a 10.5 B WAR and a 10.1 F WAR for a 10.3 average. And yes, I do know that Mike Trout's 2015 season is lower than Shohei Ohtani's 2022 season, but with him appearing on this list 4 times, I wanted to group him all together at the end. And technically Ohtani did have the second best season that wasn't Mike Trout, and Mike Trout has had the best seasons to not win MVP, so I'm technically not misleading you at all. It just made it easier to group it like this for the video. So let's take a look at 2015 first. Mike Trout had 41 home runs. He had 171 WRC plus. We know what Mike Trout brings. But let's see who won the MVP over Mike Trout that year. They gave it to Josh Donaldson, who definitely didn't deserve MVP over Mike Trout this year. I felt like this was just voters' fatigue and they wanted to give it to someone else besides Mike Trout because Mike Trout was the best player. In 2013, Mike Trout only had 27 home runs. I know that's low for him. He hit 323, but he had 176 WRC plus. So what he didn't bring with home runs, he brought everywhere else. So to give some context to 2012 and 2013, this is the first time where I felt like analytical people and cold hard stats people were clashing over who was actually more valuable, because you have Miguel Cabrera, who was doing everything offensively as a hitter. He flirted with the Triple Crown in 2012, but he actually hit it in 2013. But with acknowledging Miguel Cabrera's premier hitting, it also needs to be stated that he was such a bad defender during this years, he had to be a full-time DH, and he also was a terrible base runner. But then you had Mike Trout, who was the definition of a five-tool player, and being a five-tool player is going to accumulate more WAR. So you had a traditional slugger in Miguel Cabrera, but then you had a generational talent in Mike Trout. And at this time, the statistical people won because Miguel Cabrera won MVP from Trout in 2012 and 2013. Do I think Mike Trout deserved the win in 2013? No, I am still going to give it to the person that hit the Triple Crown, because hitting the Triple Crown is amazing, but Mike Trout most years will win MVP for that season. Mike Trout finished second in 2013 if you didn't know. Now Mike Trout's 2018 season, he almost walked as much as he struck out. He had 188 WRC plus. Mike Trout was amazing this season. The only issue was Mookie Betts was even better than Mike Trout this year. Mookie Betts did deserve MVP over Mike Trout. I'm not gonna fault them for this one. This is the definition of just the wrong year to have these numbers, because he wins MVP majority of seasons with these numbers. Mookie Betts was just a little bit better. And the last one on this list was Mike Trout's 2012 season. This was his first full year in the big leagues. So this man hit 30 home runs, he stole 49 bases, had a WRC plus of 167, and he brought it defensively. And another crazy part, he only appeared in 139 games. Now I said Miguel Cabrera deserved to win the 2013 MVP, but I do also think Mike Trout deserved to win the 2012 MVP. If Miguel Cabrera had back-to-back Triple Crowns, sure. But what Mike Trout did this season was truly special. He was one stolen base away from 30-50. He was just phenomenal at everything. And the only way to beat that for me is to hit the Triple Crown. And if you didn't know, Mike Trout finished second in 2012 as well. So that was my list of the best seasons that did not win MVP. These players in these seasons have now low-key been slept on, so I wanted to bring some light to these seasons and let them know. You definitely did enough to win MVP, but as I said in the beginning of this video, timing is everything, and if someone happened to just hit better than you that year, you're not taking home the MVP. Now y'all let me know in the comment sections, of these seasons, which ones do you think they got the MVP wrong? Which ones do you think they still got the MVP right despite me displaying all this information and stats? I would love to know in the comment section. And as you know, with Paint the Black Baseball, I'm going to be giving you consistent baseball analysis, so make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell for all my videos so you can like and participate in the comment section. I hope you have a great day.